I know you are about to drop this book. Has the book
Yes,
released
ma'am.
already, Sideshow? Is it out already?
Oh no, it comes out September the 17th, and you can get it where books are sold.
Very good. So let me kick things off by asking you, I mean, what motivated you to share such a deeply personal journey in this book, which is titled Sideshow, Living with Loss and Moving Forward? So what motivated you to share this deeply personal journey in this book? And how did writing, right? How did writing this book help you process your grief?
Yeah, well, according to my therapist, she felt like writing out my feelings and my experiences and what did I learn from it would be a good thing. That it would help a lot of people. Because one thing we have to understand that this thing is not just about you, right? If you're a public figure and you're on a public platform, you got people out here praying for you and standing in the gap for you. They're going through the same thing. They have lost their kids also. And so here's an opportunity for you to take advantage and put some material together to help others. Because most of the time, when most of us are good-hearted people, and most of us, when we go through something, we always want to find a way to figure out how to help someone else that's going through the same thing, where they would not have to go through that. You know what I mean? But you're gonna go through grief because we're born to die. We all gonna leave here. But how do we process our pain and how do we get through that? And that's why this book is so important, to share some real inside stuff that nobody talk about, the middle of the night hours and the wee hours in the morning, and the anxiety and the depression and the sadness and all of that stuff. So I shared all of it because I'm a public figure and I don't mind sharing. Um, so that I don't know. Did I answer your question? I'm
You
all over the
did.
place.
You did. And it made me think of a statement that I heard some years ago after my father passed away. I heard this statement, and I want to know how you feel about this, because this has stayed with me since I heard this. And the statement goes, you never get over grief, you just learn how to manage it. How do you feel
Hmm.
about that?
Yeah, you learn how to manage it. You learn how to live with it. You learn how to yeah, you never get over it. You can be coming off stage doing a standing ovation at a comedy show, and grief is waiting on you on the side of the stage. I mean, waiting on you. Like, yeah, go ahead and do your jokes. Yeah, get through. Look at that. That's so nice. Standing ovation. All these people came to see you perform. As soon as you walk over there to the side of the stage, waiting for you. And people look around like, what is going on? Nobody know what you're dealing with and what you're going through. Somebody said to me yesterday, uh, oh, you must have had a lot of coffee. You're real talkative on the air this morning. I was texting one of my other castmates, and like, they have no idea that getting up and that the fact that I'm able to talk and be in good spirit is how I'm getting through what I'm going through. Because it's
Absolutely.
hard to get up out of bed every morning to do a radio show, to entertain everybody or whatever, So that's part of my therapy, is getting on the radio every morning to make people laugh and to stimulate my mind and have conversations. So I don't have to think about all of that stuff or want to just lay there and die myself. Because those feelings are real. Sometimes you wish you was dead. So you won't have
Absolutely.
to feel that. Though that's some butterflies. That's some butterflies that's I can't even describe the butterflies and the anxiety that comes with losing a child.
So can you elaborate on how your faith has played a role in helping you move forward during times when you felt like there was no light in the tunnel?
Yeah, you have nothing else. You have no choice. You can't turn to nothing else. Drugs ain't gonna do it. Alcohol ain't gonna do it. Nothing is gonna do it. All you know is nothing else to lean on but God. It's like the whole world is snatched out from under your feet, and you only can lean on. You got one thing you can lean on, and that's God. And you have to lean on him, and not only lean on him, you have to trust him. Right?
That's
When
right.
when you get a phone call like that, the room starts spinning. And what God will do, he'll stop the room from spinning just so you can make it from your apartment door to the elevator. And that's all I ask God. If you can get me to the elevator, I think I can make it. But
Yeah.
right now, I need you to get me from the front door to the elevator. And once I made it to that elevator, I said, I think I can make it from here. Because that room was spinning like no other. I wanted to, I jump up in the air and land on my neck. That's how painful it was. This is, you lose it, your child. It's not my grandfather's death. It's not my grandmother's death. This is different. This is a kid that laid in the bed next to you on nights it was thunder and lightning, sucking his thumb. Kids you gave a bath. Kids that you drove off to Alabama State University. You know that
Yeah.
if it's something, and it's almost like you have leprosy, and it's almost like you paranoid because you're looking around thinking that you have a disease, like something is wrong with you. And that's how I feel. So you have to deal with that. And that's what therapy comes in to help you process all of those feelings with with the help of God. God created therapists. But yeah, you pray, but you break your leg, you're gonna have to go get a cast on. I don't care how much you pray. You break your leg, you're gonna have to go ahead and get a cast on. Where the brain is a muscle also. You got a therapist to train you and to condition you how to process those feelings so you don't go crazy or go into a depression and you die yourself. A lot of people don't survive their children's death or their mother's death.
That's right. So, how has the loss of your son, and you touched on this a minute ago, but as it relates to the book, how has the loss of your son shaped your perspective on grief and loss? And in what ways is this reflected in your new book?
Yeah, it is definitely reshaped because I had lost before, but nothing of this magnitude. You know, biggest loss before that was my grandparents, and then before that was my dad. And that's one of the things that also helped get me through it, watching how my grandfather handled my dad's death. You know, and that's one of the things that I talk about in the book. I make the connection between my grandfather and I, because I watched my grandfather go through the same thing. And that's why I was able to handle myself and maintain things a certain way. I did some of the things he did, and then I did not do some of the things that I saw him do. Because the way he grieved on that front row, uh, I had to, that affected me. So I couldn't do that because my granddaughter was almost the same distance at my son's funeral looking at me. So I had to do smile and peekaboo during the whole service because I didn't want my granddaughter to see me cry, to traumatize her and put her through what I, at 55, still cry about this day. I cry more about that than I do my son's death.
Yeah. Wow.
That
Take your time, sir. We all understand.
it is crazy because to be the grandson of grandparents who lost a son and the time around to go through the same thing was really something. And it's almost like I became my granddad when that happened. And now I understand exactly what my grandfather went through, how he felt, and my
Yeah.
grandmother. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Listen, my father died of cancer over 10 years ago, and still feel like I haven't properly grieved his passing. I almost don't even accept it as real.
Yeah,
And I feel like
that's
the
where I
day that
am.
yeah, I feel like the day I finally accept it's real, and it's been over 10 years, like I said, might be maybe that's why I haven't accepted it yet, because I'm not ready to face all those emotions. But one day
Yeah,
I will, and it's going to be unexpected when it finally hits, for real, for
yeah,
real. In your book, you address the stigma surrounding drug addiction and mental health challenges in the Black community. What do you hope to achieve by bringing these issues to light?
yeah. I just want people to go and to have open conversations about fentanyl and about drug use and understand because we got to tell these kids the stuff that only got us in trouble, they're dying from. It's a whole different time. You can't smoke a blunt that somebody else rolled up. I had a lady buried her son 2 weeks after I buried my son, and was outside of a comedy club waiting on me. She had an AKA sweater on, and she hugged me. She said, "My son died 2 weeks after your son." I said, "How did he die?" She said, "Fentanyl." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "He smoked weed and went straight back and found him in the car."
Mm.
And it was cold outside, and I stood outside and talked to that lady. My son struggled with drugs for years. I sent him to rehab twice. It was very expensive. It was killing me. It was heartbreaking to see him go through that. Then he would come out, he would get clean, and he would be a different person. Then you can notice his behavior change. I didn't even understand the behavior, and it hurt our relationship, because with drug addiction comes certain type of behavior. And I'm kind of like a no nonsense dad or whatever. So his death forced me to understand that behavior comes with that. But we have to talk about it. We have to talk about drug use, and everything that comes with it. We have to address it. We just can't act like, I had people say, "Well, sometimes God just intervened. God just took them." Or whatever. Sometimes there's a reason that people die, and sometimes people die for making bad choices. We have to address that as well. You just can't pull a cover over and say, well, God just came down. No, it's a lot of people in the cemetery would still be living had they made different choices. And that's just real. And that's just being totally, totally transparent.
No, that's real, and that's the truth. So, on that
Yeah.
note, what do you think are the most significant barriers to addressing mental health and addiction, and not just the Black communities, but all communities suffering from this? How do we start breaking down these barriers?
Yeah, we just got to start talking about it. Your pastor has to talk about it. Your pastor has to have some connections to the drug, to AA, Alcohol Anonymous, Narcotic Anonymous. You just can't pray it all the way. And not just your pastor, in the schools, everybody where people gather. Even on our radio show, we talk about it. We just have to talk about certain issues that was whispered about in the past. And I think if we did that, we would save a lot of lives. Because one thing I don't want to do is see any parent to have to. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. I don't want to see no parent ever have to go through that. Because that was just horrifying to have to deal with. But we have to start having a conversation about it, and we have to start addressing some of these issues even before they get on drugs. We got to talk about lifestyles and gang activities. We then got away from God. You know, my grandma had me at church so much I was scared to drink. I was scared to smoke. I'm 55 and I don't do either, and haven't done either, ever. Because I'm just scared to. That kind of parenting. We got to start giving kids more what we had as opposed to what we did not have. We give kids too much freedom. We don't set any boundaries. And now they go out here and do what they want to do. And some of them are dead because of that, or in jail, or then killed somebody else. You understand? So it's uncomfortable, but we have to address it.
Absolutely. So, is there a specific story or moment from your new book that you found especially either challenging or cathartic to write about?
Yeah, even when I was doing the audio version, and being that I'm a radio personality, I'm a comedian, I'm able to separate the material from the feelings. I know how to. I read that book and just read it just to get it done, to make sure that the audio was sounded okay without the emotion. But the only time I got emotional when I was at church one Sunday, and I remember my pastor, Kevin Bryant, uh, lost his beautiful daughter, Sade. She was 32 also. I also lost a nephew that was age 32. I also lost a niece from fentanyl at the age of 32. And my pastor's daughter was also age 32. And it just seemed like that's the age that they, like 32. Like most people that tell me their kid died, I say, "How old?" They say 32. That's so weird and crazy to me. But my pastor was preaching. And I was feeling the same kind of way, because my pastor said, "God, I've been a minister most of my life. I done preached all over the country, telling people about you, bringing people close. getting people to join the church. And he said, "You took my daughter from me." And he said, "I was mad." And he said, "I was looking for another God to serve, but I couldn't find one that was better than you." At that point, I politely got up out of my seat and walked to the other side of the church and laid on the floor between two empty pews and screamed into the carpet, because I swear that's how I feel. Man, I went and served at the community service. I helped kids. I raised kids that wasn't mine, that didn't have no place to go, trying to do everything right. And I just don't understand how this was happening. I had just came from a funeral in Virginia where I was walking a mother down the aisle who had lost her son, you know, and sitting there thinking like, I hope that I don't ever have to go through nothing like this. I just can't understand how that woman feels. And probably a month later, it happened to me.
Wow.
So that was the one moment that got me when I was reading the audio book, and that like really went to the core of my soul. And then it was a moment at that funeral where we were lining up to walk in. But I think that whole thing was that being at the cemetery, and when they lowered the casket into the ground, it was almost like I felt my life leaving my body. That was the worst thing I ever seen in my life, worst thing I ever experienced in my whole life.
Yeah, of course. So, what are some of the key lessons or messages you hope readers will take away from your new book?
Oh, to go and get therapy, to go and get help, to talk about how you feel, to get closer to God, to be optimistic, to continue to live, continue to grow, to not give up on life, to realize that you also got other kids that's suffering, they're grieving also. And you have to understand that it's not about you. Once you get healed, go out here and help other people and serve, and continue to serve God, because He is still good. Because right when you think that you're going through something, you got it bad, somebody had it worse. I remember uh, a week after my son died, a lady in LA, both of her sons got killed,
Mm.
and she didn't have money to bury him. And I just snapped out of whatever I was in. I was like, told my sister to get in touch with the funeral home and saw how much it cost to bury him. And right after I had buried my son, and I just had to make sure it get done. I never spoke to the lady. I never said anything about it publicly. I just did it because it needed to be done, and God put it on my heart to do it. And I said, God, if you just, that simple act of kindness, if you just take that and just lift some of my burdens, I would really appreciate it. And I think He did. I think He did.
Very good. When this book comes out, I imagine it's going to resonate with a lot of readers, a lot of people who have experienced a similar journey that you've been on with grief and loss. Are you anticipating your fans reaching out to you on social media and sharing their journey with you? And if so, do you feel fans, the response, the potential response, could be part of your healing journey?
Yeah, absolutely. People have already responded in so many positive ways, not even just about the book, walking through the airport, that has helped me with my healing. I feel like Atlanta, Jackson Hartfield Airport probably saved my life.
Wow.
Because walking through that airport with all those Black people in Atlanta airport, when you got TSA agents getting up from their seat, coming all the way around to hug you, and you have flight attendants that hug you and say absolutely nothing. They hug you like a mother and they just walk off.
Oh, wow.
When I can't even begin to tell you, walking through that airport, the love and the respect and the I it helped me a lot. Because one thing that really helped you is knowing that you are loved and you are thought about. You know what I'm saying? People was I was meeting other parents that have suffered losses in airports. And I'll never forget. One day I was just at the airport. And I just put my head between my knees and I just started crying. And I wasn't crying loud. I was quietly like crying. I remember a flight attendant. I just remember looking down. I never can't even remember her face. I just remember I knew the shoes, the black socks, and the pants leg that she was an American airline flight attendant and was just rubbing my back, rocking me. I never really even looked up at her face. One time I was crying on a flight and a black dude, male flight attendant, and I was balled up. And he came and he had some tissue and he stuck his hand between my arms that was folded tight and put that tissue in my hands over my face and kept going. Man, when I tell you, folks, just really just little simple acts of kindness that even that I displayed, God just found a way to have people show me the same love and respect that I tried to show others. The Wednesday before my son's funeral, I got up and decided that I was going to get back on the radio because I didn't want to lay in bed thinking about that stuff. And then on my way to the funeral home with his clothes in the car, I stopped by the Salvation Army to serve the homeless. I say, even in the midst of my darkest hour, I just want to show you, God, that I'm still faithful, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This
Yeah.
has been a very moving conversation.
And
And I
my
don't want to,
interview be like this for some reason today. I'm emotional.
yeah. And that's okay. You're still healing. You're still processing. I imagine as you continue to do, press as related to this book, you're going to have these moments and it's okay to embrace these moments. I think what I have most enjoyed about this conversation with you is hearing that despite your loss, you didn't turn away from God. It sounds
Yeah.
like it strengthened your relationship with God. And that's admirable
Oh,
because a
yeah.
lot of people, when they go through something like this, when they suffer a great loss, they blame God and they don't even want to acknowledge God. So the fact that you did, if nothing else, I hope my readers who are watching this, who are going through similar grief and have been shouting at God and cursing God and blaming God, I hope it brings them back to God. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really
And I,
appreciate it.
no, I appreciate you, sir. I hope that this book does so well on the New York Times bestseller list. I
Yeah.
hope,
The
this speaks
people
to,
that have read the transcript script said that they could not put it down. They said it's definitely a page turner. I had a couple of people tell me that they missed meals because they couldn't start reading the book. It's powerful. It's optimistic. It's gonna take you there. Like I put my heart and soul into it, and I just hope that it helped people and that they are blessed by it and that they see some beams of light coming through the clouds.
absolutely. Amen to that.